Good day. I'm Julie Thompson from PACTV, and I'm joined with Bill Chenard, who is the town manager for the town of Pembroke. Today we're going to talk about the community center. Now, this has been a subject in Pembroke for many, many years. And last year at town meeting, the voters approved to build this new community center. Now, this year, we're ready to start work on the community center, and some of the pricing has changed. Can you just give a brief update in the last year what has happened that brought us to this point?
Sure. Well, number one, obviously the economics have changed significantly. Everybody's aware of that, prices, delays in products arriving and things like that. Number two, as we did investigation into the building, it was determined that there was significantly more asbestos than what we were aware of. Below the roof tiles, under the tiles in the building and behind the brick. That significantly changed the cost of that. I mean, if we look at cost estimates, we were at 19 million all in there, and today we're at 21.6.
Okay. So let me stop to that point, because I remember this was I asked you this, and I have the clip because I want to show it. A year ago, I asked you what happens if it doesn't come in at exactly this price. Can we show this clip from last year's town talk?
So at that point, the town has two choices. The town can go back and look at our construction documents and see, is there a way, change some of the cost items so that we can bring the bids down to a point where we can do it under budget. Or one of the safeguards for residents is if we're going to stay with that plan, we can't move forward with the project without going back to town meeting and asking them to reauthorize the project at the cost of that time where the bids are.
Okay, so you clearly said if this comes over and there's some things you can't control, that we'll have to go back to town meeting, which is what we're going to have to do. Now, this was also a number of residents at town meeting brought this up and asked you those questions. Can we just show that little clip from town meeting when he was asked the questions on the town meeting floor?
Facts necessary to make an informed decision. And I think that it's very important. A previous speaker noted that this project could be more than 19 million. I'm telling you right here and now, it could be more than 19 million, but not without coming back to you for another vote. This vote tonight caps this project at 19 million. So I want to make that very clear. The town cannot spend more than 19 million of taxpayers' dollars on this project.
Okay, so clearly you were very upfront with the voters about this. So now we're looking at a difference of 2 million and some change. Okay, want to talk about what changed? Because the only big line items really are the site work and the demo and abatement. The demo and abatement has to do with the asbestos, correct?
Absolutely.
And when did you find this out?
So when we're preparing to do the final cost estimates, the architects have their plans. They do a final review of the building. They send in the experts. In our case, there were experts that were in contaminated buildings, and we knew this was a contaminated building. I'm not sure we were 100% aware of how much contamination was there. There is asbestos below the roof shingles. There is asbestos behind the tiles interior to the building, and there is asbestos in the mastic and behind the brick on the exterior.
Okay, and the whole thing is brick.
Yeah. The whole building is brick. So it added significantly to that cost.
Okay, so what about site work? Now, does that have to do with the supply chain and all that?
Yeah, I mean, the site work is mostly driven by the increase in costs. Obviously, site work, there's a lot of fuel, diesel, gasoline, cost of goods as they come through, and asphalt when you pave the parking lot, all driven by the oil industry, and we all know what's happened with that. I wish it hadn't, but there isn't any. I can't control that. No one can.
Okay, so let's talk about. You had talked about. We'll come back to you maybe with the altered plans. So you've made some changes in the plan that was approved by the taxpayer. So what are some of the changes on the building that you've made?
Yeah, I mean, if we look at we looked at the tape, and what I said was that there's two things we can do. We can go back, look at our plans, and try to get it under budget.
Yep.
We did exactly that. We took a look at the plans, and took several items out of the plans. We reduced the size of the building from 31,787 to 27,800 square feet.
And how'd you do that?
And we did that by taking out areas that were large hallways, large foyer type space, entryways and that type of stuff. We really didn't change the programming. One of my goals when we took a look at this was not to change the programming of the building. We promised the taxpayers that we would provide a double gymnasium, that we would provide space for our seniors. Really important stuff. I actually told the owner's project manager and the architects that I was not willing to change the programming.
Okay.
We promised the taxpayers this is what we were going to deliver. We need to deliver that.
Right.
We flipped the building, so the gymnasium was previously sited on the left side of the building.
Okay. Do we want to bring up the slides?
Yeah.
that shows this?
So actually, if we look at
Slide 4 or 5?
if we look at 4 and 5.
Okay. Let's look at 4 first.
So 4 is the new dimension, and if you look at that, Center Street is at the bottom looking in toward the building.
Okay.
The gym is now sited on the right side. We
Instead of the left, yep.
Instead of the left.
Okay.
And by doing that, we had originally planned to come in by the Council on Aging building with the shared driveway that is part of the library.
Yep.
On the right side of the building, go down the terrain and have that entrance on that side. When we started to look at that, it was determined that there was significant cost to that.
Sure.
And so by flipping the building, we can now share the driveway next to the Hatch building. It's a straight shot in. It doesn't require as much site work, so it saves us that. And the fire department loves it because it's a straight shot in, safer for them.
Yeah.
They're not coming in and going down that big hill with all those turns. It improves the safety. It also improves the distance that seniors have to walk to get into the building because it puts all those parking spaces that are right there by the entrance now closer. So we have a significant number of parking spaces so they don't have to walk as far to get into the main entrance.
Okay, excellent. Now, if we show the next slide, slide 6, can we bring that up? What am I looking at here?
So slide 6 shows the original floor plans with the gym on the left,
Yep.
coming in that shared driveway, going down that hill and doing that circular motion.
Yep.
It puts less parking spaces near the main entrance for the seniors, and not just seniors. It could be someone that's in a wheelchair or
Right.
uses a cane. Not all seniors. Some seniors are more agile than I am, and so that's important to note that we've really improved that. And it's less expensive.
Okay. Now, the gym now being on the right instead of the left, if you look from the street, were you going to have a big barn door that opened onto the green?
So the barn door is still there.
Okay.
We have, for safety reasons, eliminated the barn door on the back of the building, and that's simply because we didn't want. Public safety had some issues with that. They didn't want the youngsters at an open event running out into the parking lot space. So we've eliminated that. That really was eliminated prior to the cost discussion.
Okay.
It was eliminated for safety reasons. But the barn door is still there. And I know some people have some anxiety about that. It's not adding significant expense to the building. Behind that barn door is a regular roll-up door. The barn door is aesthetic and doesn't add a whole bunch of cost.
Okay.
It would be almost identical if we were to put big glass doors there.
Okay.
So
the other thing, obviously, that residents are going to know is, if we're going to approve an extra $2-point-something million for this, do you have the exact figure?
2.6.
2.6.
2.6.
What is that going to mean to me tax-wise?
So when we took a look at that, it was kind of funny because I ran the numbers and it was $21.49, and that's the gross number. That's the number that it would have added. And then the town accountant says to me, but Bill, when we promised the residents of the community that the average cost was going to be $133.25, but when we actually went out to borrow, we got such a good rate. The average cost was only $127.41
A year.
A year
Originally. Okay. Divide that by 12 months if you're talking about
average per year over the course of the debt.
Okay.
And then that's a savings of $5.84. So if we net out the $21.49 less the $5.84, it's less than $16 increase from where we were before.
So just to verify, for the average homeowners at the average price, it's about $16 a year.
A year. Correct.
added to your tax bills.
Correct.
Now this is, you've already approved something else. Mm-hmm. Okay, this is in addition to what you had approved last year.
Correct.
Okay, so if you're talking $16 a year, it's maybe $1.12 a month, something to.
Roughly.
So it's if you look at it that way, it's not a hugely significant increase.
Yes, for some people, every dime is
Oh,
important, and
absolutely.
I don't want to minimize that, but $16 is not a huge increase.
And you're promising this year that if this is approved, all the programming, which was, to your point, the big push was, are we going to have all these programs available, are still going to be there.
Yes.
The footprint has changed slightly. It's decreased in size slightly, but all the programming will remain.
Yes.
Okay. So you're just going to ask the voters to determine, is that $16 a year average worth it to have this built? What happens if it fails at town meeting?
So if it fails at town meeting, we have a couple of roads we can take based on our knowledge now of all the asbestos in the building and the condition of that building, in addition to asbestos problems that the building is really tired. We really do have to take the building down for safety reasons.
Okay.
Really cannot occupy the building. It's safe to occupy the main floor right now. There's no friable asbestos, and
What does friable mean?
so friable means that the asbestos is airborne.
Okay.
And when the asbestos is airborne, you can inhale it
Sure.
and it becomes unsafe.
Yep.
So right now today on the main floor, there's no friable asbestos. We had closed the lower level because the asbestos tile, it wasn't significant, but the asbestos tile was starting to crack, so it was just safer to close it and not take any chances. You know, as the building ages more, you're going to start to see those things, the tiles get old and start to crack, and it will just become uninhabitable.
Okay.
And it's, you know, right now it's safe, but as soon as we start to take those tiles off on the demo, you have to remediate that before you can actually take the building down.
Okay. Now, does this change the timeline of when this building, say it's approved, and when this will be completed?
So we had originally said that we were going to start with the demo this month. We've delayed that pending this vote, and we're encapsulating that. It doesn't significantly change the timeline overall. What will potentially change the timeline is supply chain issues. We don't think we're going to have any, which is a benefit we're doing and going out to bid the way we are by combining everything together into one general contract with a general contractor. That will allow them that extra time because the demo is going to happen right in front of that, rather than waiting and then signing a contract in June, July, like we had originally proposed.
Right.
We're going to still do that, but they're going to do the demo up front, which will give them a couple extra months while they're doing a demo to make sure that they have all the supply chain stuff. Things such as generators, you know, HVAC stuff, all your mechanical stuff. So we still anticipate that the building will open next August.
Okay.
Not August of 22, but August of 23.
Which is what the original plan was. So what are the major, what is the biggest pushback that you're hearing so far that you can address?
Well, obviously that there are folks who are saying we promised we could build it for $19 million. We talked about that already. We didn't promise that. We're going
That
back.
was your best guess at the time.
And cost. I mean, people don't want to, you know, for some people cost is challenging. You know, every single dime, you know, they're experiencing the same items that the town is, that all of us are. You know, gas prices up significantly, and all of the supply chain issues, and you know, if you go to the supermarket, you're paying more for that. So that is a challenge, and we recognize that, and we're going to do everything we can to make sure that we build this building as efficient as possible. We've improved the efficiencies that we've talked about today, and we're going to continue to go along those lines. And one of the reasons I didn't want to change the programming was, you know, if we cut one of the two gyms that are in there, we lose income to the building. And so we build it. So we build it for less money, but then the operating costs go up because we're not leasing a gym to a basketball league, you know, for several months during the year.
So do the operating costs stay approximately the same?
Operating, well, so the answer is, all things considered, yes.
Okay.
However, operating costs for all of our buildings today are up significantly because of fuel costs.
Exactly.
So energy costs will increase this like every other building in town.
Okay, and if the fuel prices go down,
It'll be the same.
there you go. And so if this is not approved and the voters say, nope, we're not going to do this, the building will have to be taken down. And we'll have to pay for that.
Yes.
So what would be the cost of just pulling the building down?
So based on what we've paid so far and the demo costs, it's just over $5 million overall because of the some of the site work, some of the demo costs, some of the abatement, all there, significant. And we've already paid the architects and the OPM to get us to this point.
Right. So we have an empty lot.
Well, we have an empty lot, or we reduce the size and we do what we said. I'm not a fan of that because your operating costs, you're going to increase your operating costs over the years. So I think that's more of a policy and a political decision. As a town manager, I would present, as I am today, here are all the things we can do with the building if we can't build it if we don't get the funding to make it to 21.6. We have 19 million. It becomes more of a policy and political decision for other boards and committees.
Okay. So if this fails at town meeting, this increase, can you go back and say, okay, we're going to make further changes to bring this building back down to the 19 million, but we might have to lose some of the programs, and we're clearly going to have to lose probably one of the gyms to make it work?
Yeah, so that would be the political choice. I mean, as a town manager, I'm not going to make that decision. I don't think it's fair to the voters. I would like to hear from the voters or their elected officials on where they want to go. I will certainly prepare that information so that everybody understands what that is.
Okay, and to that point, on Saturday, the 30th of April, you're going to be available in Town Hall from 9 to 1 in the morning to answer any questions, correct?
Yeah, so there's a lot of questions that have come up, and most of those questions are out on social media, and different people are answering them.
Right.
And I felt obligated to just spend some time and offer myself this information to the residents. So Veterans Hall, Town Hall, on April 30th from 9 to 1, I'm going to be available. There may be other folks available. I've asked other people to attend with me. Some folks I know are going to be on vacation and not available. But I think I owe the residents that so they can come in and ask any question about the project they want.
People want transparency. They want honesty.
Yeah, and I think it's important. It's critical that we're transparent about this stuff.
Absolutely. And both last year at town meeting, both the town meeting vote and the actual ballot vote were significant. That people did want this community center slash
that was actually very, very pleasing to me that people recognized the need and stepped up and voted for it.
And the need is still there. All those same needs are still there.
Hasn't changed.
Okay. So thank you so much for joining us today. And this whole presentation that has updated figures is available on the website?
It will be shortly. I didn't want to do it until after we tape today, but it will be there later today.
Okay, super. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you. I appreciate it.
This has been Julie Thompson with Bill Chenard. Good day.